If I were going to summarize 2021 controlled substance prescribing practices and what folks need to know, I would say that it's really important to stay current with the DEA and their COVID webpage because there's a lot of information on there to help navigate the changes with electronic prescribing and telemedicine and what's been different during the pandemic versus what will change back to how it used to be when the pandemic is over or when they declare it to be over. And so far, the federal government hasn't done that. And I think that's important. Another thing that's really important to think about is many states during the pandemic have had provisional licensing where a practitioner from, say, Kansas could help out in Maine. And they could do it in a temporary licensing permit. There were waivers or all kinds of different things, and depending on the state. And sometimes the controlled substance component of that, the lines were blurred. Well, many states are unraveling the provisional licensing now, and orders are expiring. So if you've been helping out, even if it's not involving the prescribing of controlled substances, if you've been acting as a provider in a different state where you had a provisional license, you may not be able to continue that depending on what the state's position is. So you need to look into that. You also need to look into what's really meant by risk mitigation with telemedicine. You can do certain things via telemedicine, especially if you have a a two-way real-time audio-visual telemedicine platform. You can have somebody count a pill medication in front of you. You can have somebody do an oral swab. You can do things that maybe will be very uncomfortable, but at least you can see the patient and document what you're seeing and how things are going and what you've asked them to do. And that's a good interim measure for somebody that you're prescribing controlled medicines to if you can't see them in person. It's important to write that stuff down. So there are many more things. I would also encourage practitioners to look at many of the DEA cases that I put on the PAINWeek library that I put together for the lectures. Those cases are very valuable to frontline practitioners. They give the perspective from the government side and the defense side. They give the perspective of the medical experts on each side. They also give the perspective of the administrative law judge that presides over the hearing initially and the DEA administrator that takes all of the evidence and the administrative law judge's opinion and then decides what's ultimately going to happen with the DEA registrant. Taking an hour to read one of those cases could really help somebody get over the hurdle into ways of documenting that doesn't take a lot of time but can really make a difference if somebody audits your charts.